Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna tell you guys a story about the time that I went to a wizard's duel, since I told you guys about the coven yesterday. Okay, now this story is actually scary. Okay, this story is a mess. It's very, very scary. Oh my goodness, get your popcorn, get ready, because this story is not a joke. Okay. And so yes, this story is going to involve Professor R. Yes, it is going to involve B and Candace and two other ladies that was in the class with us too. Um Professor R got beef out in these streets, and his beef is not regular beef. Okay, Professor R got Gandalf type of beef. Like, he got beef with other people that's into the same stuff that he's into. So like, he's into theology, mythology, folklore, stuff like that. So the people that he's beefing with is into that stuff too. Now, I already told you guys about Dean. Professor Dean, that's somebody that Professor R is beefing with. um Let me see. Dean, yeah, this person is not a professor. I had to make sure, because I know for a fact that Professor Dean is a professor, but and Professor R is a professor, but this particular person that Professor R is beefing with in this video and with this story time, he is not a professor. Okay, I just had to make sure because I didn't want to accidentally call him a professor and he wasn't. Okay, so this person that Professor R is beefing with is a wizard. Okay, and I'm talking like all the way, like he really lived this lifestyle. Like, this person is like all the way, like this person's like Gandalf mixed with Voldemort mixed with, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, you can go on and on. And I mean, they dress like it, they live their life like it, they eat food like it, they talk like it. Everything is about magic and spells and being a wizard and stuff like that, or whatever, right? And so this, we'll call him Lenny. Okay, we'll call him Lenny. The wizard, we'll call the wizard Lenny. Okay. And so Professor R, he is very open and very vocal with us about all of his beefs. If First of all, I'm sorry, I'm 3 minutes into the video and I haven't even told you guys who Professor R is. At this point in my life, I'm in taking a mythology and folklore class. Professor R is my mythology and folklore professor. Okay, just in case if you haven't watched like any of the other videos and this is your first time here and this is your first time like coming to my channel, welcome. All of the videos that has like professor in the title is about Professor R. Okay, so Professor R is very open with his beef about Lenny, and we know about Lenny, and we don't have any problems with Professor R having beef out in these streets, because I mean, I even did a video about B having ops that literally was up at the school, and Professor R like got involved. So it's like everybody in the class got their own ops. So we don't care about Professor R having ops. We love Professor R. He's our professor. We're on his side, right? Regardless of the situation, Professor R, he's the one that's teaching us. He's our Chiron, right? And so Professor R is, he's still teaching, he's still doing all the stuff that he's supposed to do. But in the meantime, like in between, like when we have our little breaks, or whenever we're about to like pack up and go, or when we're packing up before we start our class, Professor R will tell us about his own personal stuff that be going on. So Professor R had told us that Lenny was trying to up the score on him with the beef, and he wanted to duel him because he wanted to prove that Professor R was weak and he wasn't spiritually advanced and he knew nothing and he was just some nobody, right? And he didn't have any spiritual ranking. And Professor R is like deep into theology, deep into mythology, deep into religion, deep into spirituality. Like, I have a whole video that I'm gonna make for you guys about the time that we had to say Professor R from a cult, but that's for another day. That's for another day. I'm gonna tell y'all about this magic duel. But first, so Lenny had told Professor R that he wanted to magically duel him, and Lenny is not. He cutthroat. He is not a joke. He is not some Merlin looking magician. Okay, Lenny is dark. Lenny has dark tattoos. Lenny has dark hair. Lenny has dark everything. Lenny is just dark. Okay, he's. I don't even know why Gandalf came to mind. I guess because it's kind of like, hold on one second. I'm so sorry, guys. I live close by a hospital, so it's always some kind of something. Okay, so Lenny is he's dark. Like I don't know why I brought up Gandalf. Like Gandalf is more so like Professor R, and like a Dumbledore is like Professor R. Like Professor R has like this Mad Hatter like eccentric like type of theme to himself too, like on top of it. And then you got Lenny. Lenny is just like a straight up Voldemort, straight up Darth Vader, straight up like the villain. The villain that everybody would know this is the villain. If Professor R and Lenny was in a movie and the movie had no words and it was just a screen and it just showed Professor R and Lenny, you would know that Lenny is the villain. He's just like the classic cliche villain. Like he has he has a scar and he's using it to make himself look a little more, grungly or whatever. And he's using things like he has a staff, he has a wand, he has a bunch of stuff that he uses, and it's like the staff and the wand is the one that had like really like stood out to me. So those are the only two that I can remember, but he got like other amulets and other stuff that he be using too as well. And so Lenny is not a joke, but Professor R is like not scared of him because Professor R is not the type of person that's scary. Eccentric, yes. Scary, no. He's like walked into the trenches of places and gotten things that he wanted for himself. Like one time Professor R needed to go get a relic from an old church. He's always messing around in old churches too, just so you will know. Like half of my videos of him have something to do with like an old church. But Professor R, he will walk through the trenches. He don't care. He will talk to, street people. He'll talk to other kind of dangerous people. He don't care. Professor R is not a scary person. He's just very, very extremely eccentric. And so Professor R was telling us how Lenny wanted to fight him and, well, not fight, but battle him, duel him with their magic powers or whatever. And so Professor R does not take Lenny serious. He thinks that Lenny is obsessed with Aleister Crowley, and he thinks that Lenny is obsessed with Eliphas Levy, and he's just a person that wants to be like them. And the last person that he listened to was Gigi Allen, and that's why he act the way he act. This is how Professor R describes Lenny. Okay. And so he's not saying anything to say like, oh, these people are trash or these people are this or these people are that. No, he's not saying that to say that. He's just saying that to describe like the type of guy that Lenny is, like if it was a guy that came to your neighborhood every day, he had a red hat, you guys would describe him as red hat guy, so it's kind of like that. It's like very painfully obvious. And so Professor R really is not scared of Lenny. He doesn't believe that Lenny actually has the real spells. He doesn't believe that Lenny actually knows how to do witchcraft, or not even witchcraft, but just like magic. I guess we can just call it magic because I don't want to get into the logistics of what exactly it was that Lenny was doing, because witchcraft is this and voodoo is that and hoodoo is this and so is that. So I don't want to get into the logistics of what it was that Lenny was doing, but he was doing something, okay, because I was there and I felt it and I heard it too. Okay, so Lenny, Professor R do not believe Lenny. Okay, and B is the student that's in my class. He doesn't believe Professor R. He doesn't believe anything that Professor R ever teaches us. He's always playing devil advocate with him. They have like a love-hate relationship. I've explained this in the previous videos that I have made about Professor R, because B is like in every single like situation because he's always with Professor R. Okay, and but because we both have the same class too. Okay, and so Professor R was telling us that he was going to do the duel to prove that Lenny is a fake and a phony, and he's going to get proof. And if we want to, can we be the ones that hold the camera to get him proof that Lenny doesn't know what he's doing and Lenny isn't a real magician like he says he is, right? And so this is Professor R's plan or whatever. So he's already accepted the duel. He didn't even ask us yet. Like before he accepted the duel because he knew that we were gonna come. So and we did. We definitely did. We wanted to go. Lenny told Professor R to meet him at this place. The place was not actually in the exact same city that the school or Professor R or us was living in, but we did have to go over like a few times in order to get to this because Lenny is theatrical. He wants to be on the countryside. He wants to really put the theatrics to it. He wants it to be raining this day. He wants it to be a full moon so his powers can be, at its highest heights and all of this stuff or whatever. And then plus Lenny wanted to set a date and time for the duel because he said that he had things that he needed to gather before the duel. So the duel was just supposed to be simply Lenny proving that his power is more powerful than Professor R's. Okay, and if Professor R even has any power, or if Lenny even have any powers. Now, these two men believe that they have spiritual powers and they are magicians and they are living a life. Well, Lenny is living his life out as a Voldemort type of person. Like he's just walking around. He has the outfit. He has the tattoos. He has the. I think Lenny might have had on some makeup. He might. It was not the type of makeup like what I have on to like for the ladies or anything. But like the guy that played in the movie, he had some kind of makeup on. So I think Lenny might even be wearing like that. So Lenny, like he has a full look. Okay, I guess you could say it's kind of like the same makeup that maybe Kiss would wear. Like very theatrical, like type of makeup. And so Lenny tones his down, and it's just white. Okay. Um, Lenny is something else. Okay, he's something else. All right. So Professor R, he accepts the duel. He tells us the date, the time. Of course, we want to go. Of course, B, he has a whole camera system that he wants to bring that his brother owns, and he wants to like basically use his brother's camera to like really set Lenny up and make it theatrical and all of this kind of stuff to like make it like look like something, so that way Professor R can show it to the other professors and it can already be like edited and it can look real good and stuff on them, basically saying that Lenny is a quack and he's basically just trying to have everybody scared of him because he wants to appear like a person that would be like a Voldemort type of person. Okay, that's I'm just when I say Voldemort, I'm talking about the archetype of a human being. Like, who is this person? What type of archetype is this person? Lenny would be the Voldemort archetype. Okay, and so Professor R is setting all the stuff up. Lenny is setting his stuff up. Okay, he's letting Professor R know that the duel is still on throughout the week. And we all pack up to go. We're ready. We're hanging out with Professor R today. We're leaving early in the morning because Lenny wants to make sure that by the time night falls and the moon is out, that's when the duel can come, And we had to drive like some towns over, so we definitely needed to leave in the morning, make sure everybody was there. Okay, so everybody showed up. Me, B, Candace, and two other girls. We all showed up. B, he had all the equipment. He had taught all of us how to help him like hold the equipment and do the stuff or whatever before we even pulled off, just because we was curious while he was trying to pack it in the van that we had. And so Professor R, he had all his stuff, his magical duel stuff. He had his little case and he had his little outfit and stuff. And no, he didn't have it on. He said he was gonna change into it, but he definitely had it in like you know those like zip up bags that people have when they have something very important, like maybe a suit or a prom dress or something very amazing that they like to wear or whatever. That's it. He had one of those or whatever, and so Professor R, he's being dramatic. He's making sure that he's, you know, like pumping himself up, and he's listening to his magical duel music, which is Celtic Woods music, which I don't mind listening to Celtic Woods music. It kind of sounds Thorish a little bit, Asgardian a little bit, I guess you could say. And this person, Professor R, is something else. I love it. Okay, I'm living my best life listening to the music that Thor would be listening to. I'm having a good time. I got me a cheeseburger and a fry, and I'm living my best life. Okay, I'm on my way to a magician's duel. Okay, a real life magic duel. Like people really about to do this like in front of us on camera. So I'm hyped up too. I'm happy or whatever. So everybody's happy, everybody's laughing. Professor R is feeling really, really good. He said his energy was good even though it was a full moon that day. He had all his little crystals and stuff like that on him. And so he was feeling really good or whatever. So we pull up to the property that Lenny told us to pull up to, because I mean Lenny, he is wealthy now. Lenny has money. I forgot to tell you guys that everybody that Professor R is beefing with is wealthy. Okay, so Lenny is wealthy too, even though he's not a professor. I'm not sure exactly how Lenny came into his wealth, but he does have wealth. Okay, so he has multiple different properties. He has a driver, he has henchmen, he has a crew. Lenny is just like really playing out Harry Potter in real life, like for real, like seriously, like that's what it looked like to me. Like that's the only thing that I could use to give you guys some kind of visual of what Lenny is out here doing in these streets. Okay, so we pull up to the property, and Professor R, he's looking at the property, and he's like, oh my god, he would pick some place that looked like this, and it looked ridiculous. Like I'm serious, Lenny is theatrical. Lenny is theatrical. This was a stone house. Okay, cobbles, like the big round stones, like that kind of house. Like okay, so if that's how it was made, or the decoration, I don't the exterior of the home was like a stone. Okay, and he had like a torch lit already at the edge of the driveway thing, and we had to pull up, and it was like this man standing on the porch, and with like the porchway, and the doors was closed behind him or whatever, but he was like holding this thing in his hand like this. It was like a tray, and we was pulling up, and Professor R was like, oh my god, I can't believe he spent all this money on this just to prove that he don't know how to do magic. And so we laughing because Professor R, he throwing his little shots before he do his little magic duel. And so we get all the stuff out the car. B, he mostly get everything out the car because we wasn't about to help him. We wanted to go look at Lenny's house. So we went to go look at all of Lenny's stuff. Lenny had a whole bunch of magic stuff. Like he had voodoo dolls. He had knives. He had swords. He had all kind of cool looking relic stuff that all had a description next to it, beneath it, or above it. Okay, so it was like a museum, like a mini museum that Lenny had made of all of these relics of magicians and magic and stuff like that or whatever. And so we was just looking around and stuff like that. It was creepy, it was cold, but it wasn't nasty and dusty. Like it wasn't no spider webs or It wasn't no dust and we wasn't coughing or anything like that, but it was cold and it was creepy and you could hear like water dripping in the distance. I don't know if it was dripping from the ceiling, if it was dripping from the faucets. I'm not sure. We wasn't supposed to spend the night here. We were leaving in a couple of hours because I mean, it was about to be nighttime. They was gonna do their duel. The duel wasn't gonna last forever, so they were gonna hurry up and do the duel. We were gonna leave, and then Professor R was just gonna take all of us back home or whatever. So B, he set up all the cameras. He set up everything. Everything was fine. And then he had put a camera. He had told us like, and then we with the like, he put a camera on us. So he put mine on my jacket, and then he put Candace's on her jacket, and the other two girls, he had put them like on the strap on a purse because they had like one of those strap bags around them or whatever. And then he had one on, and then he had other ones set up in other rooms, like just in case of Lenny. Like he was trying to Maury show Lenny. Okay, he wanted to make sure that Lenny couldn't run in the other room and like hide his face or anything like that or whatever. So he was putting other cameras up or whatever. So he put all the cameras up, and Lenny was gone. Lenny was gone. When Lenny had came, he had on a black cloak and he was holding like this silver cup and he was drinking from it, and he basically was talking real posh, and he had an accent. I'm not sure exactly from where, but it definitely was one. He was, I don't know, he was like very eccentric too as well, and very intelligent and very smart. Okay, it was like almost creepy um how much Lenny had embodied this magician role. Okay, and so Lenny was, of course, giving everybody the creeps because Lenny is the villain. And he just want to get straight to the duel. He doesn't want to know why we're here, why we have cameras, why this is going on, why that is going on. He doesn't even care. He doesn't care about anything that Professor R is doing on the side. He doesn't care about Professor R. Professor R is nobody to him, okay? And so he's nothing but a op, okay? And so Professor R, he's ready. He has his little magic stuff that he wants to use. And Professor R wants to use a stone. He wants to use him a wand too as well. And he also has a staff as well. So Lenny is not only using a wand and no staff. Lenny got all kind of stuff, okay? He pulling out stuff that I don't even know the name of, all right? And he also had like a little knife thing that he wanted to use too, and something else, okay? And so Lenny, he starts. Mm-hmm. As soon as Lenny picked up his staff, all the lights turned off in the house. It just went completely pitch black. I backed up into Candace. She was standing behind me, and I grabbed her, and she grabbed me, and she was like, I think we need to get the hell out of here. And I was like, me too. And so we were like, as I was still backing into her, we were like still backing like toward the doorway, like the archway, so we could just like go outside because we didn't even want to be in there no more once he picked that thing up and the lights turned off. Okay. And so from all of the entryways into the room that we were standing in, there had begun to be chill, cold wind blowing into the rooms. So what did we do? The stupidest thing that we could have possibly did, we ran up the stairs. Okay, we ran up the stairs, backed ourselves into a corner, and the corner was in a hallway, and the duel was still going on downstairs, and we can hear B, and he's yelling and hollering saying, turn the lights back on, turn the lights back on. I can't see anything. That's unfair. That's cheating. Turn the lights back on. And Professor R is like, I can hear him like slamming his staff like into the floor, like boom, 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 like, because you can hear it like on the wooden floor. And me and Candace are like trembling. We are holding on to each other. The wind is blowing. It's cold. It's raining outside. The front door just gusts open while Professor R is going boom, 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 boom on the floor with his staff thing, and we're at the top of the stairs, like backed into a corner, and we see the door like flat open. It's nothing but like leaves and trees blowing outside, and it's wet and it's rain everywhere, and the wind is blowing and it's gusting everywhere, and it's gusting all into the house. And B, he's like, he got the camera and he's doing all of this because he wants to get it on camera because he can't believe that something is actually happening. And so me and Candace is like completely terrified, and then Candace is like, we just gotta go for it, we just gotta go for it. And as she's saying like, we just gotta go for it, we just gotta go for it, we hear like this huge like scream. It was like it was a woman. It was a woman. Yes, from upstairs in one of the rooms. And so we had got all out of the we completely forgot about being scared of what was downstairs, and we left. We ran down the stairs and ran out of the front door. The last thing that I saw like out of my peripheral was like B. He was like all in Lenny's face, while Lenny was like, he had like his hands in the air and he was like rolling his eyes in the back of his head. And that was the last thing I saw. It was wind blowing everywhere, water blowing everywhere, rain blowing everywhere, leaves blowing everywhere. Like I was fighting for my life. My everything was gone. My makeup, my hair, everything. My jacket had blew off, everything. And so I definitely told B that I didn't have my camera anymore. Candace, she still had hers on. The other two girls that came with us, they had ran out the house after we had ran out the house because they said they were too scared. Professor R, after everything was over and everything had died down, the weather didn't die down. Professor R just came stumbling out of the house. B was like holding him up and holding like the box and with the that he had with all the camera stuff. And he had Professor R on one side and he had like the box on the other side, and Professor R was like holding his stuff and he was like limping. And we were like, oh my goodness, what happened? What happened? We were like screaming and hollering, asking what happened to Professor R. And it's like B was like traumatized. He was like completely traumatized. Like he would not talk. He would not talk. And Professor R was like groaning and moaning. And he asked Candace, because she passed him like this little blue, it was like this little valve in his bag. It was about like that big, and it was like glass, and he asked her to pass it to him, and she passed it to him and he drank it. But he was okay. Like on the way home, he wasn't talking about what happened in there neither. He just said that he would never underestimate evil and he would never forget what happened that night. So I don't know what was going on, but it went on. Okay. Comment below. Tell me what you guys think. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video.